Hungry Trilobyte podcast would like to start by acknowledging SoonerCon. Get ready for the next chapter in Oklahoma's longest-running fan-run pop culture convention. SoonerCon will be returning in 2024, June 21st through 23rd. Get ready for a weekend of cosplay, fun and excitement, vendors, gaming, and more. You can go to SoonerCon.com for more information. We are live here at Fenom Comics on location with Tom and Joe Fenoglio. How you guys doing today?
Good. Doing real good. Yeah. Good to have you here on site.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. I just finished the copy of Hunter Ninja Bear I picked up not too long ago, and I really want to talk about this comic. You guys put this out, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Two years ago, but it's been in the works for 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, it's quite a project. I think anyone who's taken a look at it can attest to it's quite a compilation of a lot of work, a lot of hard work in writing and art.
I can imagine. I'm not in the business of giving spoilers, but I am going to say it is basically a three-way war between a group of ninjas, a group of hunters, and a group of bears.
Well, you
it delivers what is on the label.
Yeah, well, we always say that it's like rock, paper, scissors, just a little more violent.
Sure.
So hunter beats bear, bear beats ninja, ninja will beat the hunter. And these are just loose confines because growing up, Joe and I loved like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. We loved the Kurosawa Japanese classics. We loved Godzilla. So we took everything that we loved growing up into this. So it was a great little vehicle to take some of our favorites and bring them to life.
I was wondering how this all came about because the concept is really neat. And the concept is exciting. It's not like anything on my shelf right now. But at the same time, it's worthy to be next to everything on my shelf right now. It's not a superhero comic. It's not a war comic per se, but it really does fit in well with the epicness of it.
Well, it's nice of you to say.
Yeah, we think so. I think we've had so many stories. I mean, I don't know. It just sort of came up, and Joe and I whittled it down. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And I think probably the one scene that we didn't do justice on Joe's front was the crossing over from Japan into the States, where Joe's like a big pirate that loves Jaws. And I think if this ever came into the film side, that will really kind of draw on that. But we're always taking things that we like.
Yeah, I think you gave it credit. I mean, you'll see that it's a lot of different settings, a lot of different stories, and it's all things that we like, we think are cool. So we put them in there. And Tom's mentioning tall ships. That's kind of cool. The tall ships of the San Fran, Cape Horn days. They're even made a mark in here. So it's a little bit of everything. If you like wilderness, if you like, monsters in a sense with the bear, if you like hunters, if you like throwback hunters, if you like martial arts, if you like a little bit of everything is in there in fine detail.
And that it has that feel to it. As like you mentioned before, it was a concept of, well, everything we think is cool, we're going to put in there and make it work, and it does work. In a way, like it's not like Sharknado, or you just like try to see. No, it actually does work well. Within the history of the time, it's believable. It may not be accurate, but it's believable, and that's the important part.
Okay, except for and this is something that we can't stand. We hate when we see a 1970s movie and they have garbage cans from the 2000s, the plastic ones.
Sure.
We are ficklers for having continuity within the time frames. So we spent a lot of time, even the captain's log when they came into the San Fran harbor, the ship, the captain, you've got the people within Japan. So it is a piece of historical fiction as much as we can take, obviously, the hunters, the bears, the ninjas. But within the concept, if everyone drills down to the different time periods, we spent so much time just making sure that it was historically correct as much as we could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was kind of fun.
And I think anyone who's listening, watching this, if they find something, tell us, because it's of interest to us as well. We want to make the best product. And, as much as we think we got it right, if there's something wrong, tell us, because that's fun for us too.
You clearly did your homework. That's the point I'm getting at. It's like somebody can nitpick here and there, but it makes sense within the context of the story. And it's a good story. And I would also encourage you, as you're watching through the many, many, many grisly fight scenes, no pun intended, don't slow down through the action, because the action, that's where the artistry really comes out. That's where you see the best in terms of the layouts and the motion. And there's a tendency, I think, some people have to skip right from word balloon to word balloon, and this is not a comic you want to do that to.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, thank you. And they say half the people read the page first and half the people look at the art first. And I look at the art. I'll say that's me. And we really wanted, if you look at the backgrounds, I think a lot of the comics today, and it's just time frames. I mean, this isn't a critique of any of the comics, but we really do like the backgrounds. We do like the detail. We do like every panel looking like a snapshot of real life. And so I think going through the book, the readers are almost forced to come off those text bubbles because the art, Mel Rubi and Rob Hunter and Ivan Nunes, they just did a spectacular job with Chuck's words. Mm-hmm. So it's really a credit to the artists involved. But I don't think people that read first can actually pull their eyes away from the art. It's that good.
You know, that's something, talk about how long it's taken to bring this to market. I mean, Tom has worked diligently with all these artists. And I remember back in those days, before it was even released, you know, how long does it take to make one page of art? You know, it'd be one page of art was critiqued for a week, and then it'd be onto another page of art, and this is over and over. So that's something as people see it and they realize every piece is a work of art because people literally took that much time to make it a piece of art.
Right. 360 pages. So if someone does a page a day, that's a year. Well, there's a writer, there's a artist, there's an inker, there's a colorist, there's a letters. When you start putting those together, that's a lot of time. Yeah. And this crew, the team, and I should put Taylor Esposito did the lettering too, fantastic letters. But they were a machine, and we got spoiled because this was our first book that we really dug into, and we were truly spoiled by how they just worked like a machine.
When you're talking about those backgrounds, I mean, I would definitely say I noticed the color, the lighting effects on there. It really does have almost a snapshot or even an impressionist painting feel to it there, which really makes you want to just stop and soak in the mood of the scene each time.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And we'll say Ivan Nunes because we had brought in some different colors to see how it worked. And when Joe and I saw Ivan's lighting and his color, his palette, we were blown away. It turned a page into a work of art. Ivan Nunes is truly one of the top colorists in the industry. He's just really a find. So, kudos to Ivan.
Yeah, in fact, I think every one of the artists you could say that about if you dug into their individual work. I remember the first time we saw Rob Hunter's inking, it was like, wow, it's kind of an education for us as well of just how the different what to look for. We all naturally have intrinsic draw to a certain quality of art. That's why whatever's on your wall at home is different than our walls at home. Everyone's drawn to something. But I guess if I could say that the people that Tom assembled, you guys, all of you had a common vision of what was, I guess, of interest, desirable, looked good, detail, coloring. You guys all worked so closely. And so well,
I think when we picked Mel, when Mel came in, I think Mel. If you look at the book, it's very. I would never say manga-ish. I would never say that, but it does have, especially for the Oriental, the Japanese theme. You've got really that kind of edginess that it does kind of pull in the anime vibe in a sense. So once we saw Mel's pencils, we were shocked because Mel really coming off of Game of Thrones, where it was very gothic and it was very rushed, I'll say, because of timelines on their side. Mel dug in, and Mel just put out a work of art for Mel Rubi. And because he loved the story, he was thrilled to be working with Chuck Dixon, as we all were. And I don't think that Mel has a better product out there. And that says a lot because of his catalog of work. So.
Now, mentioning some of the really cool people you had working on this project, I'm really interested how you got this A-team of people together here, because I don't know, were you able to put out a comic before this? This your first?
No, well, Rob.
Yeah, it really starts with Tom and his drive to find his vision of he wanted the best people on this project.
But we found Rob first.
Well, Rob, that was part of it, though. That was all part of it. Rob was huge. I mean, he was the introduction to all these.
Yeah. Outside of Joe and I guess, roles, Rob Hunter is really, was within this project and our other projects, a driving force in bringing the talent in. Rob has just the utmost respect of the artists in the industry. He inks for DC for decades, and his style is just so iconic to Rob Hunter, that grittiness, you see it. And once Rob met us, we flew down there, met him, and he saw our, dedication to the project, that he could put his word out there. Hey guys, everybody, these guys are, want to do this. And then it just started doing steamrolling. Chuck Chuck saw our synopsis, our breakdown, our script, and he loved it. And Mel, obviously Chuck Dixon, and then Ivan saw this compilation, and I think Mel brought in Ivan. I'm not really sure, but it all really started with Rob Hunter. A lot of credit goes to Rob Hunter.
So you're showing Chuck Dixon the layout of your script there. Are all 12 issues completely mapped out, story to story?
Yeah, if you look at the synopsis, and this is what we, really for our third story, Something Fierce, we wrote it. So that's our first. But Joe and I were really kind of screenwriters for the hopes and dreams that we had going forward. So all of our stories are really in film script. Mm-hmm. So we did not know how to write for the comic books, the paneling, there's tones, there's pacing. We just had no idea that. So, and this was really to Rob. So Rob saw what we wanted, the Hunter Ninja Bear, the story was there. He said, you've got to bring in somebody to teach you. And out came, he, brought in Chuck. Chuck accepted. And Chuck was such a gentleman. He's like a sweetheart of a professional, because we had 1,000 questions. Chuck, why are you doing this? Wait, you're moving our story. What's going on? What's this? And Chuck knows how to write for, Chuck's a writer. He's a professional writer. We are not. We tell stories. We like, storytelling. But Chuck really showed us how to tell a story within comics. And our follow-up story to this is Star Riders, which is coming out very soon. Tony Bedard, which everybody will know for the Nightwing days. Tony Bedard is coming in, and he did the same for us, where he showed us a very different style, where it's a lot of collaboration. So we were more involved with Star Riders than we were with Hunter Ninja Bear once Chuck got a hold of it. And then once we saw the final product, then we started tweaking in the back end. But Hunter Ninja Bear was really laid down pretty solidly, and then Chuck just tore it apart and made it into a gem.
He certainly did there. Are you following up? You have follow-up to Hunter Ninja Bear as well?
We've begun, and we know the ending, and Joe and I are discussing. We're having our own discussions about the ending.
No spoilers in this.
Yeah. So yes, the ending. So we say, because right now we're doing another where we're trying to condense these, because the world of film and streaming, that we want to go. All these stories were built for film, so we're trying to make this take another life form. But with part 2, part 3, we always say that it's going to go from Hunter Ninja Bear to John Wick meets Kill Bill meets Godzilla. It just gets ramped up. Hunter Ninja Bear Providence, Volume 1 is strictly an origin. We get down to the final Hunter, the final Ninja, final Bear, then we roll. And that was the whole idea of this first volume, was to get down to the final Hunter, final Ninja, final Bear.
Now I'm going to play with you a bit here. In the universe where this becomes a movie, a cinematic universe even, is it an Eastern-style martial arts film? Is it a U.S.-style Western film? Or is it almost a nature documentary?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's there's another one. I think we all have our own visions. I think that's maybe a little premature to discuss right now.
Yeah, Joe's saying this because even the film, I guess everyone that has come up to us, we just had meetings with some screenwriters, and to put this into film, it would take another year, just because, this journey is really not just a hero story. You bring in different folds because there's 3 entities, and for film, you really need that heroes to be on his path to be 80% of the film, and without that, the viewer gets confused. Yeah. But with a streaming, which we never wanted to go into, like a Netflix or a Disney or anything like that, for the limited series, this is ready to go. It's built for it. Everybody has said Hunter Ninja Bear is perfect for that limited episode run, because it's here. It's segmented. You've got the different characters. There's more forgiving on the streaming or the TV telling story. Mm-hmm. That you can kind of bring in different characters from every episode and then make sure they merge at the end. So Joe's right, is that at this point it's so premature because we're learning. We're still learning. We always thought these would be films, and now everyone's telling us that this is not built for film as much as it's built for a series.
I don't want to agree or disagree with anybody there, because this is your baby. But I mean, if you didn't break up the story if you didn't take this 12-part story and put it into a whole movie, it would be kind of already set up for individual episodes of a series.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I can see the logic there.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I guess what you could be rest assured on is that all of the dynamic energy that's portrayed here, that's something that's kind of in Tom's core DNA that he's been driving. So whatever goes on in the film, or whether it is however format it takes, it'll have that same quality, that same, call it energy in a sense. There's a lot of detail. There's a lot of grab the viewer, grab the readers, whether it's detail, whether it's storytelling, whether it's color, it'll all be, I think that'll come through.
Yeah. And we've already worked with live action, FX and whatnot to bring a 3D model to bear. So we've been working with some people out west for that. But, we're going to draw from our loves. It's going to have a little Josie Wales. It's going to have a little Good, the Bad, the Ugly. It's going to have a little Hidden Fortress, Kurosawa. It's going to have a little, like I said, Godzilla, Kill Bill. So if you talk about all those classics, that grittiness, all the great films have that feel. They, once you see it, you know that it was just a very well done product, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're about.
I've said on this show a couple times with different people that the problem I have with Hollywood right now is that there's not really a new idea out there. And I say that because, with this example, that when Ghostbusters came out, there wasn't a Ghostbusters the day before. It showed up and it was a whole new thing. Same with Indiana Jones, even though you could draw the comparison between that and other things. It was a new thing. Right. This is a new thing. This is a legitimately new thing that people would enjoy, that people would dig for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it's really, and this is why we appreciate you coming out, is that we need to get the word out. Joe and I are not, a marketing or advertising company. We are two guys that are just trying to push out good stories. So we're learning because we don't have the team behind us. But what we do have is a product, and that's what we made sure. It all stops and starts with what we're putting out there, and all of our stories. We thank you for saying that. That's actually probably the nicest thing that we've heard, because we do get that.
We feel that, and we feel the same way. We feel like this is new, this is novel, this is everything, all the other movies and stories you've seen, but it's different.
Right.
Yeah.
It's another, Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's different, right? We feel the same way. So it's nice.
And we've heard that from trade shows, from other interviews, and everyone that's read it. We have never had an okay response to 100 Ninja Bear. We've never had okay. They've always been loving it, over the top. We've never had a negative review. So that was a big trial balloon for us too. Is would people enjoy our way of telling stories, our stories? There are generation gaps. There are people like different styles. There's a world out there, and we're just trying to tap into it. So.
I mean, one thing I like, and again, I'm not doing spoilers here, but I will say, as I was working my way through the story, I wasn't confident where the story would end up, which I always like. I wasn't necessarily sure who the hero was, or even if I should like their motives, but I still wanted to follow them on the journey, and that to me is an engaging story that is worth it no matter how it winds up.
Yeah, thank you. How many times do you walk into a story, you turn on the movie, and in the first 5 minutes, you figured out the formula? There's that formula, everybody knows it. Rocky gets down, and Adrian's got to pull him up. There's always those moments, which is fine. We try to think outside the box. So thank you. And there's another thank you, is that we did not want to be formulaic. We wanted it to be different. And,
And I think there's the hesitation, the next phase, because it's going through different iterations. It's how do you put a spin on it so that somebody maybe wouldn't see that spin, but it still fits the story. So,
right.
So we all like the movies and the stories and the comics when the unexpected happens. You just mentioned it. We like it too. So we try to, so we're trying to think of the next phase.
We're trying to come up with an Empire Strikes Back, not it's a terrible sequel. Just a Grease 2, So that's what we're trying to do.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm looking at the back of the book here with some other projects you mentioned. You were saying you had some other stuff coming out. Number one, it's tough to get out one product, much less 3 or 4. So I admire your time management skills there for sure.
Well, thank you. And it's really just, it's time, it's a financial commitment, it's the artist believing in the product, we bring in editors, to do it. My one son actually helped edit with Vaughn Coleman. They actually knew each other through film school. But, really, the editors are essentially Joe and I going through and reading it. So the time management really comes in just, it's hard getting the work in. It really is. I think we're pretty good at time management, but the artists have so many commitments And so Fenom Comics sort of gets pushed down the old totem pole. We're competing because all these artists we're bringing in. Scott McDaniel's on another piece. We've got Bart Sears. We've got Alex Sinclair. We've got Tony Bedard. We've got, I'm trying to think, Ace Continuato. We've got a plethora of just A-listers. And when DC and Marvel come in, well, we should be kind of put down. So we've been kind of fighting that, is trying to sneak into their schedules. And these artists believe in our story so much that they've been willing to cram it in. So it's been we've been very fortunate for the commitment on their side. So it's us, but it's really a lot of credit should be going to the artists because they're really wedging in some of our work into their existing schedule.
I'll totally give them all the credit in the world there. And I can imagine, not trying to speak for them, that this is the kind of thing they would do because it is fun, because it's a step outside what they do in their 9 to 5. And everybody needs that, no matter what you do.
I've heard that. I've heard that from the guys. It's that it's. I also think, and Tom, you correct me if I'm speaking. It's almost the dynamic of, because Tom is every day engaging with these people, and it's not your typical DC Marvel where, here, go do it, here's your money, go do it. There's a lot of interaction. There's a lot of, hey, what do you think? Bouncing. There's a lot of, kind of the feedback maybe that DC Marvel wouldn't want or doesn't ask for. Tom's like, hey, you guys are the best. Help, I'll take your advice. We're not too proud to take somebody else's advice. And I think I think when I see it, just a couple times that I've met some of these artists, I can see that you guys really have good interaction between, good,
and it's always camaraderie in a sense. So we just try to streamline. So we go through our changes. We have, maybe 3. We sit down, go through a chapter, we make the edits, we see what we like, and we reach out. It's very simple, But I think Joe and I are quicker on our edits, so it's easy versus the artists. But they've always listened to us, and we're just very fortunate. Really, we've had some artists that just couldn't do the commitment because of their schedules. But for the most part, you're right. Everyone's really just. I think it's not the, hey, get the page done no matter what attitude. And that's it. These artists are artists. They want to create something. And we said, hey, you guys, Marvel might have 1,000 books out this week. Joe and Tom only have 1, okay? Hey, we don't have the luxury of having Batman in our arsenal. So you could put 1,000 books that no one reads, but everyone's really buying Batman. We don't have the luxury that everyone's going in to see Marvel Spider-Man. Well, you could put out 1,000 Blue Beetles, whatever, and stories that no one's going to read. You've got Spider-Man. Fenom Comics doesn't have that. We need Hunter Ninja Bear to be our Batman. We need it to be our Spider-Man. Because if you look at the comic books, the major ones, DC and Marvel are making money on the films, but if you look at the sales, Batman's carrying these guys. So they can do whatever to, Wonder Woman's pretty good, but I guess Green Lantern, Batman will be there to save the day. Spider-Man, you can change Thor up a little bit, but don't change Spider-Man. Don't change, Iron Man's a good one too. But we just don't have that luxury. I wish we did. One day we will, hopefully. We can throw out some stuff that are a little more daring, I guess. But right now, we're just trying to put the best thing that we possibly can do.
Well, I thank you for reaching behind the curtain and probably telling me a little more about your future plans than you might have wanted to. But it's a really cool idea, and I do hope you get there. Now, if I remember correctly, you've launched the initial release of this book on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
What was your experience with that?
Yeah, we weren't very. It was our first time. I don't know what you think.
It was our first experience with Kickstarter too. What I think was cool, I don't know if this is relatable, but I guess it's a tangent. It was cool that when, at the various comic shows, the fans would come up who purchased on Kickstarter would come up just to come and say hi and say, this is awesome. Yeah, I thought that was very cool. You're putting a face to these, just a registered name or something on Kickstarter. Yeah. So that was very cool.
I don't know. It was we always wanted Kickstarter. We weren't looking to fund our project through Kickstarter. We were looking at it as advertising because we don't do the monthly issues. We just do the volumes. So we had one book. We don't have the monthlies. So we need the advertising. So we looked at Kickstarter and Indiegogo as just vehicles to get the word out to an to a base of consumers that we couldn't reach. So for us, we are lousy. I guess that's. I was supposed to send out more. I guess a daily routine for advertising for Kickstarter, but it's new. We did Instagram, we did Twitter, we did Facebook, we did all these. We went out for the trade shows, we did the podcast, but it's very hard to just reach the masses. It's harder than you would think. It's just that we don't have a dancing chimpanzee knocking a guy in the nether regions with a wiffle ball bat. We're not trying to be silly. We're not trying to get the easy. You don't see a line of dancing girls behind us.
It might take me a while to get the wiffle bat, but let me make some calls.
but look at these million hits.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, there's kids wiping out on skateboards and stuff. It's just we're selling a book, so it's a very limited group that's even looking online for that.
Yeah,
so,
it's taken up. It's organic. It's very organic.
Very organic.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put everything we just mentioned on my website, aaronbosnick.com, in the show notes for this episode. Where can people follow your work? Where can they buy your book? Where can they see you at cons?
Fenomcomics.com. So grab us on Instagram. That's a good one. We do a lot of Instagrams. Twitter a little bit, not really, but Instagram, Fenom Comics. Anything you ever want to search, Fenom Comics. So Fenom Comics, one word, .com or pound Fenom Comics, ampersand Fenom Comics, anything Fenom Comics. It's on Vimeo, it's on YouTube. We've got a lot of promos. And our website, you can purchase Hunter Ninja Bear. You can get it on Amazon, on Apple. And we're looking right now, once we get 2 books, then we're jumping into Barnes & Nobles. Joe and I are doing a meet and greet at Barber bookstores that cover a lot of the Illinois, area. So that's kind of a fun thing coming up. But I guess just Fenom Comics.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I can't wait to see the next version of the book.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thanks
thanks
for
so
coming
much.
out.
Yeah.